Hello students, welcome back to the materials for English 3 for Diploma 3 with me, Miss Mona Lisa Pasaribu. And today, for this week, the materials will be about the computer application. Now, before we move on to a discussion for this week's material, first of all, I would like to apologize for being late for posting this video. First of all, because I am not feeling well over the last week, and then after that, I need time to do recovery, and I'd like to thank you for your best wishes for me getting well soon, and I really hope that everybody is also still stay healthy and safe wherever you are. Okay, so now we will move on to the next topic. It is about the computer application. Now, the outline for this week will be yes, we're going to have a very quick review on the last week's material, and then we'll be having the discussion over the computer applications, and then after that we'll discuss the grammar point for this week, which is about the passive voice in present tense. So let us check the review first. Now, for the review for the last 2 weeks, how have you progressed over the last 2 weeks? So we have discussed the topic about computer uses, and we also have discussed the topic about computer architecture, and also the grammar points for the two topics. Now, how have you progressed? Do you think that it is easy to understand the materials throughout the video, or do you think it's too difficult? Please let me know if you think it's too easy or too difficult, so that I can adjust myself for the next video. If there is no news, then no news means good news. So I'm not going to change anything if you don't say anything to me. Okay, so that's just a very quick review for the last week's material. Now we will move on to the topic for this week. Now, as a starter, I'm going to give you a question related to the topic for this week. So first of all, I want you to list as many as you can the uses of computer in one of these areas. Okay, so there are supermarkets, hospitals, airports, and police headquarters. Because we are talking about the computer application, the application of the computer for these areas over here. Okay, so maybe list as many as you can. If you cannot, maybe 3 or 2 the most will be just fine. Okay, so that will be a starter for this week's topic. Now, before we go on to the text for this week, I'd like to show you a picture about the function of computer, or the use of computer in police officers or police headquarters. Have a look over here first before you go to the next reading. Now, with the text from the picture, as you can see, there is a text about computer application in police headquarters. Again, with the text, I want you to pause the recording and read it out loud by yourself. If you can, record your own voice and then check the pronunciation for these readings. Okay, so read it by yourself and pause this recording. Now, after you've done the reading, there's a question. With the police headquarters using computer for the traffic, how do you think does the system work? Okay, so I want you to grab your notes and your pen and answer this question in your notebooks. Now here comes the detailed question about the grammar point from this week's topic. Okay, there's one very simple question: can we change all active sentences into passive voice? So there are two types of sentences: active sentence and passive sentence. My question is, can we actually change all active sentences into passive voice? If you think yes, then that is probably not the correct answer, because not all active sentences can be changed into passive voice. Why or how? We will check it together on the next slide. Now, I'm pretty sure that all of you have understood what is the meaning of the active sentence, or what's the meaning of passive sentence. Okay, so active and passive sentence. When it is active, then the doer or the agent or the subject, you name it, is the one who's actually being the starter point of the sentence. The doer or the agent is the one who actively having the activity in the sentence. Okay, however, some sentences, as I have mentioned, cannot be changed into passive sentence. Now have a look over here first. Based on these four sentences, which one do you think is not a sentence, an active sentence that you can actually change into passive voice? Okay, now first of all, I'm going to give you an explanation on what do we call as an active sentence and a passive sentence. Okay, so there are two sentences over here. The radar sends out a beam of radio waves, and then the number two, the information is stored on a smart card. So with these two sentences, I think both of these sentences are not in the same position like active or passive. Okay, if you think that the answer for number one is active sentence, yes, it is a correct answer, and number two will be a passive sentence. So it says over there that why is number one in active and number two in passive? Because in sentence number one, the agent is responsible for the action. The agent or the doer or the subject is the radar. Okay, so for number two, the agent is not included, or the doer is not included, although we know that it is the microprocessor. So you can actually add by the microprocessor over there, but it's not necessary, or it's not included in this sentence. Is it wrong or is it right? It's not. There's no definitive answer over there. It really depends on the needs of the sentence or the sentence creator. Now the passive voice is also often used to describe the steps in a process where the action is more important than the agent, and the agent is already known to the reader. If you want to add the agent, we can also say like this: the information is stored on a smart card by the processor. Okay, so there are two reasons why people use passive. Either they want to focus more on the action, or maybe they just don't want to say the agent or the doer anymore because it's already known by the reader. Okay, yeah, so this is just to summarize what I have just mentioned in the previous slide. So now we will talk about the topic of present tense in the past form of passive voice. So again, you have understood what is the reason between what's the difference between active voice and passive voice, and you know that not all sentences of active voice can be changed into the passive voice. Now have a look over here. how to change the present tense from the active voice into the passive voice. There are two sentences. The first one, she takes the book. As the form of the passive voice is to change the object into the subject, then what you can change is from the word the book becomes as the object becomes the subject, something like this. Okay, so the book is taken by her. Or if you want to ignore the agent or ignore the doer, you can just say the book is taken. You just want to tell the process that the book is taken, that's all. By someone or by him or her doesn't really matter. Okay, so it really depends on the sentence maker. Same thing for number 2. We pay the bills regularly. So if you want to say in the passive voice, so you just want to say that the bills are paid. So if you want to change it, the bills are paid regularly. If you want to say by whom, then you can say by us. Okay, but when you say the bills are paid regularly, it's more than enough to explain a passive voice sentence. So in a summary, the formula for present tense in the form of passive voice will be like this: subject plus is or are plus verb 3 plus the object. Again, if you want to use the agent, you can put by someone, by her, by him, by the items, or so on and so forth. Okay, that's the explanation for the formula in a present tense of passive voice. Now let us go back again to these sentences. As you have decided that some of the sentences can be changed into passive, then what I want you to do is now to help yourself to change the sentences that you think you can change into passive sentence using the pattern that we have just learned from the previous slide. Okay, if your answer for number 1 it is active sentence that you can change into passive, then it is a correct answer. For number 2, do you think it is an active sentence that you can change into passive? If your answer is no, your answer is correct, because this one has no object that can be changed into subject. Okay, and then after that, for number 3, if your answer it is an active sentence that cannot be changed into passive, then the answer is correct, because again, same reason for number 2, it doesn't have an object that can be reversed into the subject. Okay, and then after that, same thing for number 4. This one also doesn't have an object that can be changed into subject in a passive voice. So only one sentence, the first one, that can be changed into a passive voice sentence. So after that, knowing this fact, I want you to have yourself a little bit practice, change this sentence into the passive voice using the pattern that we have just learned previously. Next, we will have a very quick practice. Over here, there are 5 sentences. What I want you to do is to change the sentences into a passive voice. Again, you are most welcome to add the agent in the passive voice, or you can also ignore the agent whenever it is necessary. Okay, so help yourself, grab your notes and your marker or your pen, and then write down the answer in your notes. We will discuss this in the practicum session. Now for the second practice, it's going to be a little bit different because there will be instruction in the following slide, and then after that, first of all, I want you to put the instructions in order, and then after that, I want you to change the instructions or the pattern into the passive voice. Have a look at the next slide. So with this one, as you can see, there are 4 sentences. What I want you to do first is to put this in sequence. Which one do you think will be the first one? Which one is the second one? The third one until the last one. After you've done with the sequencing, what I want you to do next is to change it into the passive voice. Okay, please do it in your notebooks. And for the final practice, for the individual practice, what I want you to do is go back again to the ones that I have mentioned to you in the beginning when we were talking about the computer application in some of these areas. So there is computer application in the supermarket, hospital, airport, and police headquarters. Okay, I actually have put over here to make it easier for you some of the answers. What you can do next is to actually answer this using the passive voice. So for example, in the supermarkets, the computer is used for goods purchase. Now, how is the process for the goods purchase in the supermarket? You need to explain it in a form of a sequence using a passive voice whenever necessary. Okay, we will also do the checking later on in the practicum session. Again, if you have questions for this, let me know in the group WhatsApp so that we can all have a very good discussion in the WhatsApp group. Yeah, so that last individual practice will bring us to the last topic for this week's video, and next video we'll be talking about the application programs. Okay, that should be all. Thank you very much for watching this video. This is the reference. Again, if you have questions, let me know via personal line or via group. Okay, thank you very much for watching my video. Hope to see you in the practicum session. Goodbye everyone.